Consider this, a news and information program recorded on the campus of the University of Nebraska at Omaha. From the Fireside Lounge in the Milo Bale Student Center, here is your host, Carol Schrader.
Hello and welcome once again to the University of Nebraska at Omaha campus. When I was a kid, it was a big thing that Dick Clark's Caravan of Stars came to perform at Rosenblatt Stadium, or Peter and Gordon coming, but that was in the days before they required huge crowds and lots of seats to bring in the big acts. This week on Consider This, Roger Dixon. He's with us. He's president of the Omaha Metropolitan Entertainment and Convention Authority, aka MECA. And you're helping to make sure that the vision for the new Quest Arena and Convention Center be what it was sort of told us it would be when we voted on the bond issue to make it a reality.
Well,
how are we doing?
It's doing great. I wasn't here on the vote, but I'm sure the promises were made. This would be the entertainment center for the city, convention as well, and I think we are doing a good job of fulfilling that promise. It's the concert season, or the concerts in general, have been very active. The general public has really stepped up. They've bought the tickets, and that's what the industry takes note of. If you don't get the ticket sales, you don't get the concerts. And what we've done in just in the past month with Kenny Chesney, that plays this weekend.
In fact, they added a show.
They added a show because we sold out the first show in about 15, 16 minutes, and then the second show rolled right into it, and we will probably sell that one out as well. And then went right into the following week with U2, sold that out in 30 minutes, and everybody says, well, 15 on one, 30 on another. Well, we had more seats to sell on U2, so that made a difference. And now we've got Paul McCartney, Sir Paul, and indications are that we'll do as well, if not better, in the time to sell out the show.
There's a couple of components, but let's stay on the concerts for a while. I went to a concert there. Josh Groban, a friend of mine is really Indian, so I went with her, and I sat way at the top. And thank God I brought my binoculars. That's a big arena. I'm used to the Civic Auditorium. I mean, I've been to some other concerts there, but I was closer. I guess my age, I just didn't grow up and going to the huge arenas and living here and realizing, and it's a phenomenon, just having that many people filling up, either sometimes they do the half arena,
That's
the
right.
2/3 arena, the whole arena.
That's right.
It's incredible.
Well, we turn into a small city. I mean, you got 15, 16,000 people.
It's like an indoor Nebraska game, I mean.
And it's, you have to generate those numbers of bodies because the artist guarantees are so high, and the cost of production for these tours are so expensive. Fuel is expensive, all the aspects of it, and you have to do volume business to generate that. We had not had the opportunity to do that in the past because we just simply didn't have a facility big enough to handle that. Back in the 50s and 60s when the Civic was a viable entity, it worked well then, and I think the concerts played well there. But now we're in the 21st century. You have to have 12, 13, 14, 15,000 seats to make it viable for them to stop here.
I will say, in a credit to the operation of the center, that it's even when there's extremely large numbers of people, except for like the parking. I mean, the parking actually, which is like $6, but I mean, it actually fills up. I mean, when Bush was here, I got there at 5:30 in the morning and couldn't find a parking place. So I mean, what I'm saying is, are we going to have to do anything maybe, or do we have enough parking around there?
Most of the time we have enough parking. Where we get into problems is when we have a show going on or an event going on in the convention center, and then we have a major arena attraction going on as well. We have 4,000 surface spots, and then we also have 500 spaces in our garage. We can tax that, but I think a lot of people are figuring out too, if they park a little bit further, like in the downtown area, near the old market area, they can stop, they can visit the restaurants, bars, shops in the old market, and then walk to the facility, turn around and walk back, and your time is a little bit longer, but you know, still, it's not a bad deal. Parking the $6, it's $6. It'll always be paid parking one way or another.
Right.
That's part of the repayment for the city in this. But I'm pleased with about the amount of time it takes to get in and get out of the facility.
The whole thing runs really smoothly.
And it's, you know, we do have some people that aren't happy. It takes them 20 minutes to get out of the parking lot. I know in other cities that I've been in, people would think that's great. So, I mean,
No.
it's just something everybody's going to have to get accustomed to.
As long as I can get in and turn the engine on in my car in the winter when I'm
That is
done,
true.
that's
That
the
is
important
true.
thing. It doesn't really, you really don't have to walk that far to the primary parking. It's not too bad.
We, you know, it's again, you're within a block at the farthest in any lot, and it's not bad. If you park on the north end, you can enter in the north end of the Grand Hall, walk down that nice heated or air-conditioned promenade into the facility. So it's, you know, it really is not that bad.
For folks that watch that are outstate, are we getting support from surrounding communities on these mega events?
Absolutely. We look at all the data we receive after a concert or a family show, and it's by Ticketmaster, our ticket system, and we track where we get ticket sales from, because that's how we also determine how we market these shows. So we're in Grand Island, we're in Kearney, we're even up as far as Sioux City, and occasionally we go even into Des Moines and advertise for our shows. But we get a lot of support from outstate, and again, you know, we get most of our traffic from within our market, Omaha market, but we do get a fairly good number from outstate.
So we're kind of being, you know, at that intersection of two. Like the airport always says that it has a great ability to bring people in from a distance because we're at the intersection of two interstates.
That's correct.
And I suppose the same thing sort of applies as far as the big draw entertainment, that we have to really sell those tickets to keep more big draws coming.
You know, it's not just, you know, attracting the superstars, but once the fans are in, you know, they have to be treated like they're the most important person there. So, you know, guest service is primary to us. You know, getting in, getting something to drink, something to eat, getting to a clean restroom, and then getting out after it's all said and done. That's important. So that helps too, because if you don't do that well, then you're going to start losing part of your audience, even if the artist is the biggest name out there. And we take that very seriously.
What has been the response from the artists that come in? I mean, I'm sure they don't like call you up and tell you what they think per se.
All the time.
But I imagine that the word gets around in the industry if they're treated well, if they're happy with the venue.
It's not necessarily from the artist itself, but from the production people, because that's fairly
People
close.
that have to do all the work and
That's
get
right.
it up and running.
And what they like about Omaha is we've got very good labor rates. We've got a great operational crew. We've got a great stagehand union that gets the groups in and out. But what they really like about Omaha and the Quest Center Omaha is during the winter, we let them pull inside the convention center and park their buses, and so they don't have to run in and outside of in the climate.
Was that part of the plan, having a door big enough to get them in and things like that?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. You got to have access into the facility. You know, load ins are good, load outs are good. So it's, you know, we've garnered a great reputation in the touring industry.
The good thing is you had something good to build on. I know that people that have come, I know this isn't your territory, but if the performing shows, the Broadway shows at the Orpheum, where it took a lot of setup, a lot of the things down at the Civic Auditorium in the past, before we had Quest, we had an excellent reputation for terrific workers that had to be hired locally. That, you know, there's always some that have to be hired locally.
You know, it's very important that you have a trained and knowledgeable staff that brings the shows in, sets them up, you know, gets the audience in, gets them back out, and then tear the show down and get it back on the road. It's very important because most of these tours a lot of them do night after night after night. So to set up, they'll hit the building at 8 a.m. in the morning and start unloading, go through a sound check in the afternoon, do the performance that night, and as soon as the show is over, they're tearing down because they're moving on to the next city to do it all over again.
It's a pretty amazing thing to watch. It's
Don't
tiring to watch. Don't get in their way.
Don't get in their way.
All right, so we have now in the metro community, we have our big Quest Arena. And we'll get to the convention center in a second. We have the Mac Arena. It's not the dance, the Mac Arena, but the Mac Arena across the river in Council Bluffs. Cher just appeared here this last week as we tape this. And we still have the Civic Auditorium, which some say is our biggest white elephant. We're in the entertainment picture. Obviously, the Quest will do the big events, the big names. But do we compete with the Convention Center in Council Bluffs, the MAC for stuff that we could be doing at the Civic? I mean, how does that, I guess, the peripheral, the lesser size
Well, the
entertainment?
Civic Auditorium is a complex. Yeah, they've got the auditorium itself, they've got the music hall, and then the exhibit halls that go along with it. Right now, the most viable part of that entity has been the music hall. And we've done a lot of events in there. We'll continue to do that. Get to the auditorium, we do compete in size with the Council Bluffs facility. Most artists will say if we're going to play the market, they would prefer to play the newer facility, and that's where, Council Bluffs comes in. So there is that segment that will play that size facility, but they'll pick the newer. That's why it was so important that we find a major tenant for the Civic, which we've done, and we've got the American Hockey League, which is an affiliate of the Calgary Flames, the NHL Hockey Club. That will make that facility a viable entity again. It won't necessarily do concerts in the auditorium, but sporting events will be its mainstay.
So we be able to pay the bills is the important thing.
In fact, the Civic now is just at break even as we speak.
Well, that's good.
That's good.
Then it doesn't make it a white elephant technically. I don't know what the working definition of a white elephant is from a municipal point of view.
Well, I'd say a white elephant would be a term that it's a draw or a drain on the public monies. And can't say the Civic wasn't prior to us taking it over, but I can tell you it's not now and will not be as we move forward. In fact, I think we have a good opportunity to throw off a small profit, which is what you do. So is it a white elephant? No, it's a sound facility. It's a good facility. It's old, but
Serviceable?
that's good.
Okay. Now the subject of conventions, which is the other, the two prongs of, and a primary one, when we decided to vote on it because conventions bring money, concerts do too, but conventions because of more hotels,
That's right.
more hotel time, more time spent in Omaha means more money. And there was an article not too long ago that we had maybe missed on some conventions. Where were we in this very competitive business?
Well, going after the conventions is kind of like fishing. You don't catch all the fish in the pond either. So
It's really like when I fish.
Yeah, but first of all, I think there was probably some over projections that were done. Things were different then. The economy was different. That was pre 9/11, and that made a difference. And so we didn't necessarily stand up to the projections that we were going to do 28 conventions the first year. It was very aggressive.
How many did we do?
I think we ended up doing somewhere in the range of about 10 or 12. And as we go forward, it's a new industry for Omaha. Omaha never had a dedicated convention facility, and the Bureau was more of a tourism driven than it was convention.
Right, and there were some stutter stops and stutter starts with the Omaha Visitor and Convention
right.
Visitors Bureau the last couple of years.
And I think the powers to be, they looked at the structure and the reporting process of the Convention and Visitors Bureau, and in their wisdom, they said the best place for it to be would be under the auspices of the city.
In fact, we just voted on a change to our home charter.
That's correct, to make it a cabinet level position, and we've got a professional in there operating it now. It's Daniel Markle, who is the Director of Operations for the Convention and Visitors Bureau. We're making great inroads. I mean, it is the hospitality industry in Omaha and in the area have drawn together. They know that transient business for hotels is good, but in the long run, transient business can be cyclical. What the best thing is to build a strong convention marketing so we can get this business in. And we're doing it little by little by little. The Bureau is hampered quite a bit by the lack of funding they have, and that's not casting stones at anybody, it's just reality. They operate off of a budget in the range of about $1.6 million, $1.8 million. For a market our size, we should be twice that, if not 3 times that. And so we're trying to get innovative in ways to help the Bureau garner more money. One of it is the more conventions you book in, part of their funding is from the bed tax that is generated by
Correct.
that. So, that's kind of self-fulfilling. You bring the business in, that drives that tax base up and also gives the revenue, more revenue to the Bureau and the county and the city and the state. So,
Okay, you said you had about 10 conventions the first year. I guess it's beginning to seem like the Quest Center has been there longer than it has. When did it open? I was trying to think back. I was looking through some of my paperwork.
I think my lifetime ago is when
It just feels like
we have been open not quite a year, 2 years, excuse me. We opened in September of '03.
So it's a year and a half, a little more than a year and a half.
That's right. That's right.
That's
And
incredible.
Well, and it seems like I've been in Omaha almost 5 years now, and it seems like it was yesterday that I moved in here, brought my family to the city, started the design and putting the staff together, and now here we are. We're about a year and a half, year and 3/4 into our operation, and it's just like we've been here forever.
So where are we on the have we picked up a little steam on the conventions?
Absolutely, and I think the best bureau or barometer for that is to look at the increase in hotel usage, and we were up last month approximately 17%
From the year before?
for the year before. So it's growing. Omaha was not known as a meeting and convention city. We're getting out there. We're doing face-to-face meetings, bringing them into the city, showing it, and that's the best way to sell our community and our facility. I mean, our facility is state of the art. It's next to no one. It's next to, once they see the city, the proximity from the airport, proximity to the hotels.
And bring them in at night with that beautiful drive into the
Absolutely.
city from the airport.
And we are getting there. Each time we talk, we have more conventions on the books or getting ready to be confirmed. So it's going to happen.
I would imagine in the beginning it was a chore not a chore, but a little more of a challenge for folks that have been doing this sort of thing, just to get people to come to look at Omaha. Even though we had a new Arena Convention Center, because these things are planned a year, sometimes 2 years in advance. They vote on them usually at the convention prior year, and then it's probably already been through the sifting process and the visits. So I mean, we really haven't even touched what still can come. I mean, we haven't even talked to them.
And we're out there. We have a dedicated staff for selling the convention center that works in conjunction with the Visitors and Convention Bureau and the hotels in the area. So it is.
Are more people coming, or at least considering to look at it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's the best thing is we do these familiarization tours. They're called FAM trips.
Right.
And we bring them in, 30, 40 meeting planners at a time. And that's how you sell this city, is bring them in, show them what we can do. And that's probably our best sales tool, so the numbers are increasing.
In the past, I'm guessing they would much rather, in terms of their previous perceptions of Omaha, and even we're going to have a new facility, so what? That you don't mind being wined and dined by, they're thinking other cities. I mean, so has it been hard to say, hey, Omaha, and they go, oh yeah? And you go, yeah.
Well, it's, you talk about perception. There was no perception of what Omaha was. There was no negative
It just wasn't
connotation.
even on the Richter scale?
There was no positive connotation. It's just Omaha. I mean, the best way people thought of Omaha was Mutual of Omaha because of the Wild Kingdom series.
Yeah, I mean, they're still back on that, yeah.
And that's a good thing. At least we have some recognition, but you jump out there and say, hey, come on into Omaha. They kind of look at you with their eyebrows crinkled saying, what's in Omaha? That's why you have to get them here to show them what it's all about.
When, as I said, we reach a statewide audience, and I think that there's often that feeling about Omaha gets everything. They did get some considerations in legislation in terms of putting this package together and funding the auditorium, or tax dollars, or however we were going to get some of the tax dollars generated or something to pay this off. I'm not exactly
It's
sure.
turnback tax.
Okay, turn back tax. We got some of that, or
That's
we'll
right.
get some of that. Or
We are getting some of that.
so there's a feeling that, you know, Omaha always gets something and we don't. And the more we make, I mean, the more goes down to Lincoln that is spent elsewhere. I mean, I think some people forget that this was an important thing for Omaha as it was an important thing for the state.
You know, it's outstate of Nebraska is a great place. I've spent time
That's
out there. I
wonderful.
enjoy it. I'm a hunter. I love to play golf. I like to take my family out and do things. But I think my statistics are not perfect, but I think, what is it, like 70% of the population of the state lives in the eastern 25% of it. So that's where the tax is generated from, and it all benefits the state. Why not put some money into a facility that is going to help generate more taxes? Because, you know, Omaha is the largest community in the state, followed by Lincoln. Why shouldn't they have facilities that are going to garner the business and increase the tax, and so the outstate communities can, you know, get some access or get some benefit from that as well?
We've been in a situation for years and years where we say we're going to kind of change the tax structure so that it doesn't put such a burden on property taxes, and we're very limited in the kinds of taxes that we can do. We don't have, our tourism isn't bad for what we have in the state. We have some wonderful things, but we don't have mountains, we don't have oceans, and so in order to broaden the tax base, by having better tourism, that's almost like broadening the tax base, is it not?
Tourism
And
is
convention.
not a big factor as far as spending in the state as much as it should be. And you talk about, no, we don't have mountains, we don't have oceans with beaches.
But if we have conventions,
Conventions can help, but there's other things that we can do on that side as well. I mean, hunting's a big factor. You know, Nebraska used to be a great hunting state. It's not that way anymore. I think there is an effort to bring it back, but if they're going to come in to do anything right now, it has to be the convention and meeting business, because that's what's going to generate the tax base for a turn back to the city to help pay for the bonds or pay the bonds down. So that we're required to do.
well, of course, we will pay them down. We have to pay that
We have
bill.
no choice.
Yeah, we have no choice. But is from where you sit in terms of what the Arena and Convention Center have produced so far, are we at least, how do you say this, on track to doing our part of repaying these bonds?
Well, it's,
Or do the
are we doing
center's
our part? Absolutely, because parking revenues that are generated off, a major portion of that goes back to the city. There's a seat tax on the arena functions that go back to the city. It goes back to, you know, and they choose what to do with that, as they should, but we are generating revenues that, you know, the city did not realize in the past. You know, last year we put, 1.1 million people through our doors, and that wasn't the case when the Civic was open. The Civic put a lot of people through there, but my guess is we were generating probably 200,000, 300,000, 400,000 more people a year through our facility. So that's taxes generated that benefit the city and state as well.
And that's dinners eaten and gas purchased and so on.
And the other thing on the arena side, and even on the convention side, when we do have the conventions that come in, the old market and the downtown area is just bustling with people. They're in the bars, in the restaurants, in the shops. It's a vibrant downtown, and that, I think, if you would talk to some of the restaurant tours that are in the old market and downtown area, they'll tell you they know when there's an event at Quest Center Omaha because their traffic is up.
And it's actually full when you go down there. I mean, dinner time before a major event, you can't get a table. You can't, you know,
And that's
do
what
anything.
it's all
I mean,
about.
that's a good thing. Does it ever? Is there any discussion just casually among the MECA board members or people that you know, work down there and do business down there and plan down there, that, you know, we've pretty much taken care of the old market. We can still move south a little with the kind of, the fun stuff that conventioneers and concert goers can have. Is there any talk about, you know, other pathways north, you know, into the old strip of the black community and the jazz club that they're trying to do? I mean, is that all important to really, you know, build this sort of concentric series of circles with the convention center in the middle?
Well, there was a press conference this morning that talked about the new north downtown development. And it was exciting to see. We're talking about mixed use with residential, commercial. There was a new baseball facility involved with it. Theaters, artist conclaves. If this all comes, I think this is all good for the community, and it moves into the corridors in the North Omaha area. It helps everybody in those areas because it's more housing, it's more jobs, and
more places within walking distance or trolley business or bus business for the people that come here, so that when they sell Omaha to their members, which they always have to do, or their industry group or whatever, they have to say, these are the fun things. This is what you can do in Omaha.
And
the zoo.
And that's growing. The downtown area is growing, and it's not just what affects the downtown Old Market area. The term compression comes into play. When the restaurants are full downtown and the hotels are full downtown, the next step is you start pushing back out into the western portions of the city. And I know for a fact, in talking with some of my friends, and we live in West Omaha, they now know that if they get there early enough, they can find a place in the Old Market. But if not, there's some very nice dining areas out in West Omaha as well, and they're busy as well when there's something going on.
They'll catch it on the way in.
That's right.
Well, if you had a magic amount of money, of course you have the perfect state-of-the-art arena and convention center. Is there anything that maybe they're looking at improving, anything different about it?
Well, you don't ever just sit back and watch things. You want to always improve it.
Or what's an in thing in the business that maybe we don't have or could perfect?
Well, I think right now we're pretty much there. We may be in a process that we're looking at increasing the size of the seating capacity for the arena. Down the road, when the convention business increases more than what it is now, we have capabilities to expand the convention center as well, and keep up with the state-of-the-art technology that's out there.
Well, that's good, but we've run out of time. Good thing you haven't run out of room or plans for expansion, but we've run out of time. Thank you, Roger Dixon, head of the MECA board. Come down to the Quest Center if you haven't seen it, or come to Omaha and visit us. We'd love to have you. Have a good one.
To view this edition of Consider This or past programs, visit our website at unotv.unomaha.edu. For comments or questions, call 402-554-2516 during regular business hours. Consider This is a production of UNO Television.